I was born into an average family, and since young, my family had a conflict of money. The most drastic event happened when I was 21. One day, when I was going towards school for my exam, I received a phone call from my sister. Her voice was shaking and she said, "May, don't come home tonight. The loan shark locked the door." On the way to my exam, I remember the fear in me when I was doing the papers. Right after the papers, I didn't know what to do. I was walking around aimlessly. So I was walking and keep thinking, why did this happen to me? Now I can't even go home. So later that night, when I managed to reach home, I didn't even dare to on the lights because I was afraid that they were still nearby. And I remember very clearly, I literally squat down and run to my room because I was so afraid that they even see my shadow. My heart was pounding, my hand trembling. I took my phone on the torchlight. I quickly packed my bag and I ran as quickly as possible out of my house. To me, the house is no longer a safe place. So that very night, I checked in with my grandmother. Since young, we were always going to relatives to ask for money, and nobody is willing to help us anymore. So the only person I could turn to were my friends. So my friend then came to me and said, "My sister will help you." His sister came down to my place that very night and passed me a check of $4,000. And that $4,000 literally changed my life. I told her, "I don't have the money to pay you. All I could do was to work for you." And that's how I entered the business. And when I started the business, everybody else does, it was a very tough period. For my first 6 months of my career, I did not even have money to eat. I was very thankful that I had a friend whom I joined the business with. She was always very kind. She would share her food with me. And I remember there was a time she shared her nuggets with me because I couldn't even afford a meal. And even with my first paycheck, I remembered it was $3,000. I gave it to my dad to pay off his debt. So it was a very, very tough period of time. But I never gave up because I realized I had that superpower to turn all adversity into opportunities. And every time when I feel like giving up, I always remind myself, what could be worse than not having a house to go back to? Then to me, the business is easy. So I always joke with my agent. I'm that kind of manager that 天塌下来我都不会倒的那种。So then, of course, I had a very fast-track career. I worked very hard. I started the business in 21. I promoted within 2 years. I was the top rookie manager in Singapore. And I bought my first private property at the age of 26 because I was so afraid that my dad got into trouble again and my mom doesn't have a place to go. So that kept me moving. And at the age of 31, I made my first $1 million income in a year.